We like to call it the Supernatural Hour. And now, our hosts.
I am your host, Castle. With me tonight, I have our other hosts. We got Tim Beaker, formerly known as the Slob Whisperer. He threatened.
He will forever be known as the Slob Whisperer.
He threatened legal action, so we've renounced that moniker. So Tim the Not Slob Whisperer, aka Beaker.
What's happening?
We have Lurch.
Who let this guy on the show?
To my left, we have Deanne.
Hello.
And Silent Don.
Thank you, Silent Don.
As he nods his head.
Wait for the camera, Don.
Let's talk about any recent investigations that we have had. I know since we last talked to Deanne, she saw a full-body apparition.
I did. It was pretty cool.
It's about time.
It's pretty cool.
Way to expand on that, Deanne.
It was
Moving on.
It was a full-floating, free-form, vaporous apparition.
Well, I wasn't sure if we were going to summarize and then go in depth. So
No, let's go in depth.
Okay, so my father-in-law passed away early in December. Is that right?
Yep.
And fast forward a few weeks from that, we went... What's so funny? Stop laughing.
He's just
It's not
having
funny.
too much fun with his microphone.
Oh, I'm making fun of Castle.
Okay.
Then
Please continue. Please continue.
For those who can't see what's going on, because we don't have the camera up yet, they tease me because I adjust my microphone a lot.
Excuse me, I'm just adjusting my
Hold
microphone
on.
really
I gotta
quickly.
adjust.
Okay, I got to adjust. Oh, wait, got to move it again. Here we go.
Sorry, Deanne.
That's okay.
Go ahead.
So anyway, we went to the house a few weeks later, and we're cleaning things out and pulling stuff out of closets, and we were kind of getting to the end of the day, and I went downstairs just for one last little go grab something, or I don't remember why. But I saw a man walk towards me, and Don and all of his brothers were there, and I kind of looked up to see who it was, and as soon as I looked up, the man disappeared. But I could tell you what it looked like. He was all kind of gray, but he had on a button-up shirt and like khakis. I mean, not suit pants, but not jeans. It's kind of casual, dressy pants. And then we went there after an investigation.
Do you think it could have been Don's dad?
No.
No?
No.
What was interesting is we actually last night we went back to that particular home. We had a house cleansing that we did, and it was. I kind of explained to the team last night, and I'm just going to explain this for the listeners. Sometimes it's not uncommon to have to go back to a place a few times to clean stuff up. Things get missed. Things get overlooked. Sometimes someone in the family is screwing around with something they shouldn't. So it's not uncommon, and we tell our clients that we may be back 2 or 3 times before this problem is fully resolved. And
provided that there's nothing hinky that they haven't not told us.
Right. Anyway, so this home had something like that going on. Not hinky, but they were still having issues. So we actually took Peaches with us because she hadn't been out there before. We'd taken Caden several times. And we took Peaches out there. And like I told the team, I said, I like going and doing those. But because of the nature of what it is, we know what's in the house. We don't really screw around with investigating at that point. But we can literally be in and out of a house within 30 minutes, less than an hour a lot of times, if it's just to kind of go back and just figure out what we missed. And so Deanne, being wise, said, you know what?
Yes, remember that. It's recorded.
We are in the same city as this.
We can fix that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can edit that right out.
Yeah, mark the time. We'll edit.
Let's see, I have 4 minutes, 49 seconds. Anyway, this house, Deanne's father-in-law's house, is in the same city, probably 5 miles away from where we had been at. And so we got this house cleaned up probably within 45 minutes, maybe?
Yeah, probably.
So within 45 minutes, we kind of pinpointed the problem, fixed it. And Deanne said, you know what? We've got this team here. We've got the evening. Why don't we go over to where I've seen this full-body apparition?
Right, and this is a home I've actually wanted to investigate for a long time. But, I didn't want to creep my father-in-law out or anything. But so it's like it's empty. There's no one here. It's probably going to get sold in the next few months. It's kind of a now or never sort of a deal. So
it's kind of fascinating, though, when we got there because we had Caden with us and we had Brandy. And it's not a terribly big house. How big would you say that house is, Silent Dawn?
It's 3,000 square feet. It's not small.
Is it that big?
Mm-hmm.
I think just because you guys had all the moving boxes and stuff out, it made it feel a little bit smaller. But it is a decent-sized home. But both Caden and Brandy confirmed that there was upwards of 17 plus spirits in this home. It was crazy. There was a lot of activity in the home.
Yeah, and then they both confirmed that the full-bodied apparition I saw was a Type 2 male that was there. And it's interesting because today Don's daughter had her missionary homecoming, and I talked to his niece and her husband who lived in the basement for a little while, and I mentioned that there was a Type 3 in the bathroom. Now, the Type 3, and Brandy said it has nothing to do with anything going on in this home. It's actually something going on in, in a different home in the neighborhood. But it did like to kind of hang out in that bathroom. And when I told his niece that there was a Type 3 in that bathroom, she said that often when she would go in there, things would happen, like she'd be in the bathroom using the facilities, and the shower light would go off and on, and the shower would turn on, and weird little things would happen in there.
Cool.
Interesting. It was actually very interesting, though, in that home that there's that many spirits. And part of the reason why there are so many spirits is this community is kind of a retirement community, if you will. A lot of the homes in this, it's kind of a, is it a private neighborhood, Don?
Yeah, it's a private neighborhood. It was built in the 1970s.
And it was
Built in the 1970s, and it's a retirement until just recently. Yeah, it was 55 and over and no kids, living there.
So in other words, there's a lot of people kicking the bucket there in this neighborhood, which would probably account for the number of spirits that were in that particular home. But it's interesting. It was an interesting night, and I'm actually looking very forward to going through and looking at audio. Or somebody having a stroke? I keep hearing. Lurch, are you having a stroke?
No.
I want to know how you plan on looking at audio.
With my ears. It's called synesthesia.
That's magical.
Oh. So an interesting thing is you weren't in, I don't think you were in the room with us. We were doing a spirit box session. And through the spirit box, Don has 4 brothers and a sister. And everyone's name came through the spirit box while we were in there.
Yeah, I think I came in.
What was that sound?
that would be me having a stroke.
That's not anything paranormal. That's Castle. Did your balls drop just now?
I'm going to have to talk to my manager about that.
That would be Castle having a stroke. I was not the first one having a stroke, thank you. I hate all of you. You guys are the worst. I'm editing all that out. So anyway, so that's what we've kind of been up to since our last show.
I guess, so we can go on to a new topic?
Yes.
Sure.
So I kind of want to talk a little bit about that residential last night.
We can talk about Caden's cleansing. That was fun.
Oh,
You first.
okay. No, like Castle said, sometimes we have to go back because, we missed all the little things. And I just kind of want to bring up a couple of things that we noticed last night that we hadn't really noticed before. One of the main hot spots in this home was a mirror in the master bathroom. And we've gone back to this home 3 times. And I've been there twice. I went there the first time and last night. And I don't know what they did the second night, but both the times that I was there, we cleansed the mirror, and closed. There's a portal in the mirror.
Took a little Windex, a lot of newspaper.
We
Yes.
tried to cleanse the
Got
mirror
it
the
streak
second
free.
time, too.
Little bit of vinegar, but we were standing there and they'd cleansed it, and Brandy came in and closed the portal in it, and then we got looking at it and we said, you know what, that's a trifold mirror, and we did the middle section, but we haven't done the outer sections of the mirror, and so Brandy came back in and they closed those, and then as we were looking in the house, we happened to go back into a different bathroom, and there was 2 mirrors facing each other. And so we had them take down one of the mirrors. Anyway, just subtle little things like that I find were interesting.
Yeah, I was at that house on all 3 visits, and I think on the first 2 visits we cleaned the center portion of the mirror, and it was a good call to catch the other 2 outside wings of that mirror because we missed them, and that's probably part of the reason we kept having to go back is because only technically 1 of 3 mirrors got cleaned because it was easy to see that as a single mirror when it was in reality not.
And that was my idea, by the way.
Good job. That's why we have you.
Tim,
What?
were you going to say something next?
Yeah, we're waiting for you.
So, no, we, after our team meeting last week, we went to our fellow investigators, Caden's house, one of our mediums. He was having issues at his house, and One of the things I felt was interesting about that investigation is he had, what, like 3 or 4 type 3s in that house?
He did. Mm-hmm.
And there was one room that I remember Castle and I walked into, and you could feel the positive energy coming out of the room. Like, it just...
That was weird.
You could feel the positive energy. Like, every room you could kind of pinpoint the T3s, and you could kind of feel the negative energy in the house. It was their daughter's room, who also, I believe, has some abilities like Caden does. B was actually getting the sense it was the daughter kind of was more or less blocking the room, keeping things out of the room. But after we started removing some of the type 3s from the home, it was weird because the feeling in that room completely switched to a more negative feel. And that's when I believe Brandy, B, and Caden all kind of realized that the entire time that it was a type 3 in there that was trying to pretend it wasn't a type 3, and it was somehow producing a positive vibe in that room instead of a negative vibe like they normally do.
Yeah, it was kind of masquerading. And the interesting thing about that, and I'm glad you brought that up, Tim, because I forgot all about that, is me being the politically correct investigator that I am. When we pointed out that the spirit was masquerading as something it was not, I called it a tranny type 3.
Yeah, you did.
And it was interesting because as soon as I did that...
The Caitlin Jennings of the spirit world.
Yes. As soon as I did that, I could feel a really hard pressure on the back of my neck, kind of like someone's grabbing me.
Like giving you the Vulcan neck pinch?
Yeah, kind of like on each side of the neck. You know when you're a kid and you do something bad and like the coach or whatnot comes behind you, grabs you by the scruff of your neck. Scruff of your neck and marches you to the principal's office or
like
whatnot.
Dad?
Yes. Anyway, it was just like that, and it was hard, and I was kind of like I was kind of massaging my neck going, why does my neck feel like that? And after a minute, Brandy just looks at me and goes, you can feel that, huh? I go, yeah. And she goes, it's back there grabbing your neck. I was like, well, I can certainly feel it.
We had B throughout the entire night, too, like, kept getting pains in her back. I don't know why I did this, but, like, I actually tried to attempt to pull it out. And I know Caden was like, he's like, okay, he went and came and grabbed my shoulder. He's like, we can't lose both of you doing this. Because I guess I don't know exactly what was going on when I was attempting, because I put my selenite on the spot that it was hurting. And I was just trying to kind of focus my energy and use the selenite to kind of draw it out of her. And I guess in the process, I was probably drawing it out of her and into me.
Nice.
Because I could definitely feel the change of energy when I was doing that.
Well, and speaking of change of energy, it was interesting because as Brandy pointed out that it was grabbing the back of my neck, she came and started drawing out the negative energy that it was using, and I felt totally weird. I could feel her drawing the energy out of my neck, and it changed from like a hard, almost hot kind of energy to a really cool, kind of soothing energy. And it was a really fascinating experience.
What was really fun was watching them, like, using their hands to make it look like they were holding, like, basically a ball of energy, but there was nothing in their hands. But, like, every time that, like, Brandy would hand it off to Caden, he would walk it down to the front door to walk it out of the house, more or less.
My phone.
Every time that he came down holding the negative energy or whatever in his hands, his cat, like, freaked out. Until, like, he carried the very last one out, and then the cat was just like completely mellow. The birds chilled out and everything.
Well, it's interesting because with Caden and Brandy manipulating energy in that way, we've had some pretty interesting experiences. Because I know that you were with me at Family Tree one night when Caden attempted to cleanse that place, and I know that you could feel some energy that he had trapped doing that same thing. And it's something that's hard to describe here on the podcast. You'd have to actually see it. But it's interesting because it's almost like he's holding a ball of energy, like maybe the size of a basketball. But it's invisible, but you can feel it. You can actually...
You can feel there's something there.
Yeah, if you put your hand there, you can kind of feel
Well, have you ever tried to do... Because when I took a psychic class, they tried to teach us how to get energy. And I can't get one more than about the size of a marble. But I can get to where I can feel a little bit. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, well, that's basically what they're doing with removing some of these spirits sometimes. But, I mean, you're talking about the size of a basketball, maybe even a little bit bigger, depending on the spirit. But it's kind of interesting. I mean, you were there last night at the home, and we had both Caden and Brandy. And I think one thing that's fascinating, and I know I've talked about this before, is watching them work together, and you can tell they're both part of the same conversation that none of the rest of us can hear, which is kind of interesting.
Well, it's kind of like what you were saying last night at the residential is they're both good. They both have I mean, Brandy can do some things better, Caden can do some things better, and to have them together, they kind of fill in the whole picture. We had the team meeting, and I didn't tell you guys this, but I mentioned it to Castle. After the meeting was over, Caden said, "You have a real funky portal in your house." And I knew that there was a portal in the neighborhood, and he says, "No, it's in your house." And he says it's a multi-layer portal, which I have never dealt with before. He says, I actually have to research this a little bit.
I'd never heard of it until...
Right, and he said, he says it's a portal, and it's a good portal, but it actually has a filter, and the filter on this portal is actually protecting your home from things that could follow you home. And I said, you have to come over again, because I want to know more about this.
Filter has a filter on her home.
I know, but Peaches confirmed it. She's like, yeah, and they started kind of doing their half, where you only hear half the conversation sort of thing, which you're like, what did that mean? But I'm interested to find out more about that.
So anybody have anything else they'd like to cover for tonight?
What I'm interested in is researching what's going on behind the back of the Lowe's with all those ravens.
This is
Oh
important.
gosh,
We might need to take some time to talk about this.
I think
crows. I think it was
ravens. No murder. Oh yeah, it was crows. It was a murder of crows.
But before we get too far, though, let me put out my disclaimer on this. We get contacted a lot about a lot of things, and we are very respectful of our clients. If you contact us about haunted stuff in your house or activity in your house, we will contact you. We take all that stuff very seriously, very seriously. However, on occasion, we get contacted by some folks.
Don't do drugs.
We get contacted by some folks who are a little less than stable.
But the funny thing is that he left his contact information, a phone number, and an email address.
But not a name.
Ryan Anonymous.
Ryan Anonymous.
Anonymous.
He left a phone number, which is, I Googled the area code. It's a Montana phone number. But he lives on Antelope Drive.
Anyway, so normally we wouldn't discuss, if you email us, we're not going to discuss something, but if you email us with something that's just out and out,
batshit crazy.
Bullshit.
we're going to talk about it. Proceed.
Oh, no, okay, so should I just summarize the email?
Sure.
I wish I had my phone so I could, read it directly.
I
Because
bet Tim could find it for us.
Oh, man, it was...
On my wonderful Android product.
So anyway, feel free to contact us. We will not mock you unless you send us an email like this.
we won't.
Unless you want us to.
But, yeah, apparently, to paraphrase, this kid had said that he saw thousands, literally thousands.
Thousands in capital letters.
Of crows behind this
the
Lowe's. And the crows behind the Lowe's.
That's not an exaggeration.
No.
At all.
And apparently, a few weeks before, they found a missing body, and it was a guy named Lowe behind the Lowe's.
Low behind Lowe's
With the
1,000
crows.
With the crows. Lowe was behind the Lowe's.
Lowe
behind
was
the
actually
crows.
in
Are you sure that the guy that wrote this wasn't named Edgar Allan Poe?
And was the guy found
Quote
in the
the
snow?
Raven, nevermore.
Oh, no.
Well, I mean, reporting it to us, though, is what keeps him from calling the cops, which I think he should have done.
I get it both ways, so it doesn't help.
You get it.
You get it both ways.
That came out all wrong.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, you want? I'm just going to point this out, and it's going to go all sorts of downhill from here.
Yeah, well.
But
I'm not done talking about the email yet because
Do they?
I got to be honest with you. I get this
They
email.
come and they go.
I get this email about thousands of crows behind Lowe's, and my first thought is because I'd like to respond to everybody and let them know, but I'm just looking at it thinking, what the hell am I supposed to do with that?
I shouldn't say this, but I really want to call him.
Let's put
I
on,
really want to call him and put him on speakerphone and
we should just put on birdseed suits and go out to the Lowells and check out the crows.
Get ready.
with a K2 in hand.
We need a Tesla coil.
I'm getting raped
Jacob's
by crows.
ladder.
Getting raped by crows.
Jacob's ladder and a bunch of the crows fly into it. And
Now, I have to admit, I have seen on my way to an investigation actually a murder of crows sitting in the tree outside of the Layton Hills Mall, and I'll tell you what, man, when you got that entire tree where it looks like it's full of leaves that are black, but the tree is actually crows, that it is kind of eerie. It's kind of creepy. But it's not something that I think it requires paranormal investigating.
It's not paranormal.
Well, I was going to say, and I don't know what we would even begin. I don't even know where to start. Now, there is a case.
Put down the crack
Well,
pipe, Ryan.
there could have been. It could have been succubi.
Now, there is a case. It's a John Zaffis case where they had some paranormal stuff going on, and there was a crow that was like hanging around the entire time. And I wish I had come prepared to talk about this.
Well, and there was another
details.
one, the John Zaffis one, where there's a whole herd of birds that would chase the gals.
Yeah, but in this particular
Was that
one,
the Alfred Hitchcock movie?
No, it was the John Zaffis book.
now if you got like doors opening and closing and thumping in your house and you're hearing voices and you have crows, call me because I can look
that
into
won't
all.
float. That won't fly away. That have been there for the longest time.
Yeah, but if they're
I'm thinking they had a party behind the Lowe's
For
and there
the
was
longest
crumbs.
time.
yeah, I say, but if they're hanging out behind those, there ain't much I'm gonna be able to do for you. Anyway, thanks everybody. Have a good night.
You've been listening to the Supernatural Hour at AdvancedParanormal.com. The Supernatural Hour is part of the Radio Ronin network found at RadioRonin.com. Copyright 2021 by Advanced Paranormal Services.